Macabre Cast.
The mummy is on the loose, and he's dancing with the devil. You know what that means? It's time for another episode of Macabre Cast. Doc Mark and Chorus, the little mummy, here to bring you another episode of Macabre Cast, where we'll be dropping R's where they belong and adding them where they don't. So the way Macabre Cast works is you send me your opinions, thoughts, and ideas by message through Messenger at Macabre Theater on Facebook, preferably a voice message. Always makes for a better show. And that's how we stay interactive. That's how we do this show together. Halloween is fast approaching us, and if you're lucky enough that you live in Pasadena, California, or maybe rich enough that you can travel on a whim, September 29th to October 1st is Halloween 45 Years of Terror, big convention based on all the films in the franchise in a huge cast list that's from all the different films. The Rob Zombie, the original Halloween, Charles Cypher is going to be there, I guess. Nancy Loomis, just a huge guest list. Must be something really amazing, but apparently something I won't see. I think they filmed it at the 25th, and I know I have a DVD somewhere with the 25th on there. If you know me, you know I'm not an Edgar Allan Poe guy. I'm an H.P. Lovecraft guy. I discovered H.P. Lovecraft in high school when I picked up an Iron Maiden album that had a reference to something he had written. And I just went down that rabbit hole, and I've collected and read pretty much all of his stories. There's a lot of movies out there based on his work, and one that was just on Shudder recently, Dagon, which says it's loosely based on The Shadow over Innsmouth, and which is true. And loosely based meaning it's probably the setting that the book puts out there about this fishing village in New England. Lovecraft also has another story tied to that same location called Dagon. I will say this, wasn't the best film of all time. It was done by Stuart Gordon, who also did Reanimator, which was great, and From Beyond. Also Lovecraft stories, all loosely based Lovecraft stories. The atmosphere that he captures of this fishing town is so creepy and so well done. My only gripe about the film is there's a lot of CGI where CGI is really not needed. They could have just did practical effects. It's only here, there, in places, but overall, I enjoyed the movie. Definitely weird, but then again, so is H.P. Lovecraft. But you might want to check it out if you're an H.P. Lovecraft fan, or a Stuart Gordon fan for that matter. I recommend it. People are asking me all the time that want to get their young kids into horror. They're always saying, what is a great gateway film? You don't want to put Evil Dead on for 7-8-year-olds, right? So gateway films, two that come to mind immediately. Obviously, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, even though it's from the 40s. My kids loved it when they were younger. They still love it. And The Ghost and Mr. Chicken with Don Knotts. Two what I think are great gateway films. Do you have any suggestions? What would you suggest? What would you tell a friend? Figure the kid's 7-8 years old. What would you suggest as a gateway film to horror? I'm curious.
Gateway films. Your parents took you to Jaws when you were 6.
What's the matter with you, Karis? You're a little cranky today. You are 2,000 years old, I guess. What do you need to take extra naps? What's the problem? I want to talk a minute about the movie The Funhouse from 1981. and directed by infamous Tobe Hooper, who did Chainsaw Massacre. The poor Tobe Hooper, he made a great movie like Chainsaw Massacre, and he can never, like Carpenter with Halloween, everyone compares it to the masterpiece, right? But it's a bit unfair. I hadn't seen this movie in a while, and I liked it before. I remember really the only problem with this movie being it's one of those films where there's very, very few, if any, people to like. Everybody in it's kind of nasty and mean. With the exception of Elizabeth Burridge, which I think her last film was Amadeus, and she played his wife, so I don't know what happened, or if she left acting. She's phenomenal in this. Very genuine, very matter-of-fact, believable. Not like the typical teens in these movies running around screaming. She does a great job. And I got to point out Kevin Conway in this film, who I didn't even realize till recently. He plays 3 different roles in this movie. I mean, you can kind of see the similarity in each of the characters, like looks-wise. I mean, but crazy, yeah. He plays 3 different roles in this film. So kudos to him. But Tobe Hooper does a great job at taking the carnival atmosphere and making it really creepy and scary. And the killer in it, the reveal of the killer, which is, this movie's from 1981, so don't get all upset if I start spoiling it. At this point, just stop listening and watch the movie. But the reveal, when the mask, which is pretty early on, when the mask comes off and you see it's really like a creature, like a beast, but can still speak words, like says father to his father, who then he's afraid of his father, obviously, who slaps him, says, "Don't ever call me that again." But overall, very atmospheric. I just think that people, really like to dig Tobe Hooper. They're always comparing everything he did to Chainsaw. And then one of the most popular movies he ever directed, Poltergeist. A lot of people challenge that and suggest that Spielberg, who was producing it, was really the one who directed it. It does look very Spielberg. I don't really see any Tobe Hooper in that film, but it says he directed it. So, but the Funhouse, I enjoyed seeing again after all these years. I remember as a kid I loved it, but now seeing it with adult eyes, I still enjoy it. But I know a lot of people have a lot of problems with this movie, and it's based on not having any characters they can stand behind or like, or want to not see her. But I think there's a lot of great scenes, very creepy, very atmospheric. There's one scene in particular where she's like, basically, she's almost, these kids decide to spend the night in a fun house, okay? And then they witness something, and the creature is stalking, killing them one by one. And the girl, there's this big spinning fan separating her from the outside. And just off in the distance, as she sees her parents picking up her little brother and the police, and she's screaming to her dad, and they can't hear her because of the noise of the fan, and it's so far away. Really well done. So The Funhouse, 1981, Tobe Hooper. If you haven't seen it, you may want to check it out. Just don't compare it to Chainsaw. Unfair.
Nothing in life is fair. And oh, by the way, no messages this week. Sorry.
No worries, Karis. Build it, and they will come. One thing you can do, great followers, is send your pics in of your Halloween costumes and or masks you plan to wear this year. We would love to see them. I showed you mine that I got, my Boris Karloff mummy mask.
Yeah, we already talked about this. Awkward. Basically a mask of me.
It's not a mask of you, it's Boris Karloff. Be on the lookout this October for Dark Mark Sings, I'm just wrapping up some copyright stuff, but 2 original songs I'll be releasing. Halloween-themed songs, originals written by myself. So be on the lookout for Dark Mark and the Gruesome Grindhouse Band. I'm looking into where these can be gotten, like Apple iTunes or something like that. And worst case scenario, if we can't do that, I'll get these out to people who want them on CD, I guess. Or I can even still do that if you're old school like me and not into the whole digital buying thing, and you still like your CD like I do. Oh, I think that's it for this week. Until next time, stay on the road, keep clear of the moors, and beware the moon. But most of all, be good to yourself. This is Dark Mark, signing off. See you soon.